I've discovered a brand new Albanian version of Snow White that I'm so glad someone suggested to me because it not only involves dragons, but Snow White literally murdering her own mother. It's called Marigo of the 40 Dragons. A king and queen have a daughter, the fairest child in the whole land, and every morning the mother washes her, combs her, sends her to school. And then the school teacher also washes her and bathes her and sends her home. And the school teacher starts being like, hey, wouldn't you rather me be your mother? She literally says, you should get rid of your mom and replace her with me because we both bathe you, but I can also teach you to read. So yeah. The girl's like, how am I gonna kill my own mother? And the teacher's like, I got this. Ask her for some figs and almonds from the beautiful marble chest you have, and when she leans in to get it, close the chest and chop off her head. Now, the oldest Italian version of Cinderella by Basile has this exact mother murder at the beginning with a governess instead. And the whole chopping the head off with the trunk thing is common in folklore, like in the Grimm brothers' The Juniper Tree. The next part's kind of like another Grimm story called The Three Men in the Woods, where the girl gets her dad to marry the teacher by performing some impossible tasks. He's like, I won't marry her until my shoes turn red. So she paints his shoes red, and she's like, oh, they're red now. Then he's like, not till my robes are full of holes. So she cuts holes in his robe. He really should have asked for harder things. So eventually the king gives in. He marries the teacher. A few years pass, Marigo becomes more beautiful than ever. The stepmother suddenly cannot stand the beauty competition. So she goes to the king and says, kill your daughter, because if you don't, I'll die. The story says, what was the poor king to do? He had to kill his daughter. And his daughter killed his wife and bullied him into marrying this woman. Now this woman's bullying him into murdering his child. He must not be a very effectual king. So like the huntsman in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, he takes the girl out to the woods, intending to kill her, but telling her they're gonna have a picnic. But then he loses his nerve and he throws the bread and wine off a cliff, and he's like, go get that for me. And while she goes down to get it, he just runs away and goes home and lies and says he killed her. Our girl suddenly realizes, oh, I got abandoned in the woods. She climbs up a tree to sleep for the night, and the three goddesses of fate come by. They help her out, but not with magic. They just tell her, hey, there is this house, a castle that has dragons in it. 40 dragons, actually. Go sneak in when they're out, clean up their house, and then hide and make sure they don't see you. I mean, at least you'll have shelter then. I mean, they could have been more helpful if they gave her shelter, but it turns out well, as you can imagine. So Marigo does this, she goes in, she cleans up, and when the 40 dragons come home, they're like, who cleaned up our house? And they call out, we promise we won't eat you. She's still too scared to come out, but eventually they catch her and they're like, we will treat you like our sister. And they do, they bring her home jewels and stuff every day because they go out getting jewels. In other versions of Snow White, it's robbers that she stays with, and in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's dwarves who go mining. And if you're like, man, these dragons are really acting like people, the further east you go in Europe, the more dragons are more like shape-shifting humans than they are giant monsters with only animal brains. Now, instead of a magic mirror, the stepmother in this story asks the sun if she is the most beautiful woman ever. And the sun's like, nope, it's your stepdaughter. So she goes to the king and she's like, you did not really kill her. And he's like, yeah, I didn't. And he's like, you got to go to where she's staying with these dragons, because the sun told her that too. And you got to kill her. So what's very different about this story is the dad does, instead of the stepmother going and trying to kill her repeatedly at her new home, it's the dad. He dresses up as a Jewish merchant. Because of course he does. First he tries to sell her these golden hairpins and she's like, the dragons bring me way nicer stuff than that. But he gets her to take it and, she puts one in her head and it's poison. So she falls down dead, he leaves, the dragons come home, they pull out the hairpin and she's fine. And they're like, don't do that again. But when the son tells the stepmother the girl's still alive, she sends the dad back again and he dresses as a different Jewish merchant. I wonder what his disguises are that his daughter doesn't recognize him, but I kind of don't want to know. Anyway, this time he gets her to take a ring, and as soon as she puts it on, she falls down dead, and this time the dragons cannot wake her up. So they do what anyone would do and put her in a coffin adorned with pearls and hang it over a fountain from an ancient tree, suspending it by silver chains and dangling over the water. Maybe that's just dragon ritual. Well, the king's horse handler guy takes the horses to that fountain to drink, but the horses won't go near it because they're creeped out by the coffin. And so the king comes to investigate. He finds the gorgeous coffin and he can't see inside. It's not clear. And so he has it brought to his room to investigate. And then he opens it up and hot unconscious girl. Now, in almost every Snow White story except the Brothers Grimm one, this happens. The king stays with the girl in the room and becomes obsessed with her and will not leave this dead body. It is left to the imagination why or what he's doing in there, but in this story it specifically says he's just so sad she's dead that he's grieving over her body and very sorrowful and crying and refusing to eat and gets so thin that it's alarming, which I guess is Better, still not healthy. The mom gets super worried. She finally persuades him to leave the room and go hang out with friends, and she takes her chambermaids and they go search the room to be like, why is he in this room all the time? They find the dead girl and they're like, we're getting rid of this. The queen says, hurry, let's heat up the oven and throw this body in it. Otherwise, the king will die being obsessed with it. And honestly, that is a very rational reaction. Find out that your son's been keeping a dead body in his room for months, like, burn it. But one of the maids is like, ooh, she's got a fancy ring on. So she steals her ring. And when she does, the girl wakes up. But what's wild is the king's mom is like, ooh, put it back on. And they do. And she goes back unconscious again. And she's like, let's just put her back. And so they put her back. And maybe it was all because the mom wanted to seem like a hero, because then when the king comes home, she goes in and she's like, why are you so sad? And he's like, I'll finally be honest, it's this dead girl. And she's like, maybe I can do something. And she takes off the ring and Marigo wakes up. The king took her into his arms and kissed her. Then she asked, where am I? And he said, you are in the royal palace and shall be my queen. And they got married and lived happily ever after. Really hope she was okay with that. Because, I mean, did she really have a choice? I might want to go back and be with the dragons. As always, check out my book, A Reimagining of the 12 Dancing Princesses, my podcast, links in the bio.